Yeah, good evening, everyone. I'd like to call this meeting to order. It is now 7 o'clock. The mayor and council wishes to acknowledge the town of Fort Smith is allocated within the Treaty 8 territory. The Treaty 8 territory also encompasses the traditional homelands of Salt River First Nations, uh, Smith Landing First Nations, and the indigenous Métis people of Fort Smith. These nations have maintained stewardship of their sacred lands throughout the generations. We honor their acknowledgement, teaching, traditions, and the land. We we are mindful that colonization has not been kind. We respectfully recognize our generational histories and commitment to strive for unity in the spirit of truth and regulation. Thanks. With that, okay, we have quorum. Approval of agenda. Okay, presentation. We have the RCMP here. Oh my.
All right. Good evening, all. Sergeant John Cromie with the RCMP in Fort Smith. Just reporting to speaking on behalf of the mayor's report. Does everyone have a copy of the mayor's report? Okay, good. Fair enough. I'll just go over it in just to glance over it here quickly here. So, reporting for the month of June, 199 calls for service for the town of Fort Smith during the month of June. Still made some efforts under her initiatives for road safety, police, community relations, and reconciliation with youth, with adults and youth. For the road safety initiative, we conducted some roving traffic initiatives during Aboriginal Day festivities on June 20th. We had 7 calls received for impaired operation by the public, resulting in 2 individuals being charged and suspended, so with suspended license. So that was good. Continuing our efforts throughout with those with check stops and impaired enforcement. For the police and community relationships, for community involvement, we were involved throughout the whole month, conducting foot patrols in the community, speaking with locals, visited the Trail Cross Youth Center often to meet with the youth there. Presented some awards at the PWK School Grad, held meeting with the SRFN chief and Fort Smith mayor with Superintendent Christie, who attended as well too. I think it was more for a debrief for incident last March. I'm not sure if they spoke about that, but that's what the purpose was. We attended the community soccer games, attended numerous events held in town for treaty days. Participated in organized events for payout for treaty members. Attended the trail cross again. We had assisted with the Salt River First Nation with the swearing in of the new chief and council for the Salt River First Nation. And, Smith Landing, sorry, typo, my bad. And we volunteered with the Canoe Club. Constable Jesse Woodward was our new member. Basically, he was supposed to be here today again too, but he's still in the water, so he's heavily involved in the community, trying to coach and volunteer with youth. So, and there's pictures attached as well too with her involvement. With conciliation with youth, we keep getting involved with coaching, like mentioned. Constable Woodward is involved with the Canoe Club and Tennis Club as well too. I guess he was an avid tennis player before. So he's being involved with that. The same with the Canoe Club, and Corporal Leduc, Stephanie Leduc, is still involved with the Moms and Tots. She'll be returning this month from her leave, and Constable Nordstrom involved with lacrosse, and Constable Gibson is involved with the coaching for soccer and ball hockey. So every member has an involvement at some capacity. Notable occurrences for the month. Nothing that stood out tremendously there for this month. As I mentioned in the report, we were made aware of a fraud that happened at the seniors with a senior in town. That the credit card was used without permission. It was investigated thoroughly without charges, but the credit card company were able to assist in the matter as well too. We were able to assist in that. We had a theft of a motor vehicle, a vehicle that was sold without their consent. That's matter is still under investigation. And an assault with weapon that with an armed and barricaded suspect. We dealt with the matter quickly and apprehended a member, the person, and charges are pending in court. So that was a success in our eyes. We had a number of mental health calls and check on well-being as well too throughout the month. Nothing that stood out. Everyone was safe in those calls with positive outcomes. Altogether, we had 199 calls for service for the month. We're seeing a slight increase from last year with half the capacity of what we had last year. So last year at this time of the year, we were 8 members. We're 4. We're getting really members coming in and out, and we're getting more calls for service. So we are still finding success and still getting involved. So I still see that as a small success in our eyes that we're able to still get involved amidst being short and busier than last year. So we're trying our best with still getting involved in stuff too. So current attachment strain for this month, as mentioned in the last report too for May, and it's the same as before. I'm the temporary sergeant here in Fort Smith. Constable Nordstrom is here. Constable Leduc is on parental leave. And Constable Emmons is on parental leave as well too. We have Constable Nadeau, who's still here. Constable Gibson and Constable Woodward is also our new member that just arrived. We are set to receive Sergeant Kagri Ismat as the temporary sergeant here, starting his cycle next month. And that means that'll be my last meeting here today. I will be returning to Fort Simpson. Knock on wood that my house is ready. Hopefully it's ready, but we're hoping. And we are slated to have another member coming as well too from Depot in September, but nothing confirmed yet. So, which should bring on paper our detachment back to full strength amidst vacations and leave and parental leave and such. So, we're looking at having good numbers coming soon. So, open to questions or any concerns.
Councillor.
Thank you for coming and serving here, and good luck in your move back to Simpson. It was great to have you around here. Did you have any success in getting any more guards?
We did. The issue is not the application. The issue is the security clearance, which is a lengthy process in Regina. We did get 2 new guards. And I forgot to mention too. There's going to be a transfer. I did mention at one point I think Sergeant Peters mentioned it. We were looking for a new public servant hire for detachment as well too, which is also one of our guard. Bruce Buckley is going to be departing at the end of this month. He is moving to Ottawa. We have a new PS that started last week. Chris Talbot, I'm sure he's known in town. So he started, and he's also her new guard as well too. We can always use guards. So if there's anyone that's interested and could pass a security clearance, we're always looking. So yeah.
Any other questions?
Well, I just want to say thank you, guys. I think you're doing a good job, and good luck in Fort Simpson.
Thank you. Hoping to switch around in 2 years when Sergeant Ismat is. The wife is definitely sold with Fort Smith. So I want to say to council, we have a beautiful town and easily sellable for a member to come here. So this is going to be my 9th transfer in Fort Simpson, and definitely a spot that I do want to come to. And the wife, which is usually the one that makes a decision, wants to come to as well too. In my household, she is the one making the calls, and definitely, we want to come back for sure. So, yeah, thank you.
The house that you're moving to in Simpson, is that the same ones as here?
It's the exact same model, but the model that burned down last year. Yeah, so Yeah, it's the exact same model, same side, same layout and everything, but it took, it was supposed to be ready in April of last year, so.
Yeah, when I first looked at his houses, I thought like, is the RCMP getting punished for something that I'm not aware of? Like,
They're actually nice
this is
house.
just totally different.
They're nice homes. I've been, again, ninth transfer, and I've seen homes with floors with holes in the floors, and these ones are beautiful homes. So yeah, I'm not complaining. Yeah,
Maybe just the outside picture, just like,
Maybe.
I don't know about that. I don't know where that's fitting in, but I don't know. I thought you guys were in trouble from Ottawa or something like that. I just wasn't aware of it, so. But thanks for your presentation.
Okay.
And yeah, maybe I'll put in for a guard too. I do have history from my teenage life there.
Heavy experience.
Just
you.
to be honest, kind of know the layout. So
Thank you. Thank you.
humor is always good.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much.
I motion that we approve the agenda as presented.
I'll second.
All in favor? Okay, one discussion.
Under administration, can we add in cemetery fence designs discussion?
Sure. But when we do that, I'm going to declare conflict of interest on this matter. And perhaps Deputy Mayor or one of the council wants to take over. Thanks. Deputy Mayor.
Can we add to it the quality control and inspection of the ongoing work? We probably have close to a little over $4 million worth of work, including the rec center. And I still think we need a definite person in there to do quality control and represent the town as best as they can so we can look after the taxpayers' dollars.
Okay, question? I see none. All in favor? Oh, wait.
No, those both things are going under administration, like,
Under 3 in administration?
All in favor?
sorry, I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
And I'll still second.
Okay, question? June and a second. Approval of minutes. Okay, where are we?
I'll move that the minutes from the regular meeting of, okay, June 22, no. Okay, June 22nd be adopted as presented.
I'll second it.
Question? See none, all in favor? Business arising from the minutes. Councillor Ferguson.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to follow up in regards to the briefing note about water meters that we've never received in regards to how to change that billing, how we were going to change that or relook at that from our regular meeting. Oh, shoot. Okay, thanks. Okay, never mind.
Any other? No questions? Okay, all in favor? Hmm? Oh, I don't know.
What are we, you're just business arising for
Okay.
minutes.
Okay, the next thing is council. Oh, sorry, financial interest. Okay, I see none. Council business.
I move that the Corporate Services Standing Committee minutes from July 5th, 2022 be adopted as presented.
I'll second that.
Question? No question, all in favor?
I'll move that it is recommended that of October 27th, 2022 be chosen as the date of the tax auction for the properties in arrears as of 2020. Further, it's recommended that a minimum sale price be set as the minimum auction price or the tax balance, whichever is higher, to the assessed value of the property.
I'll second.
Any questions? Okay, all in favor?
Okay. I move that the recommendation that council make motions on the following actions. 1, forgiveness of bad debts over 7 years. 2, engaging a collection agency for all accounts receivables in errors over 3 months. 3, development of an account receivable bylaw and policy.
I'll second.
Campbell.
Okay, if we're gonna start engaging after 3 months, is that quite for putting to a collection agency? Should we try to do our own at first or jump right into that?
Deputy Mayor.
When a person is approached by a collection agency to collect a bad debt, that jeopardizes their credit rating for quite a while. We don't know what the situation of some of these people are in that. And I think 3 months is not a long time. I would like to change that to 6 months, give people a chance to catch up or whatever happened. But to destroy somebody's credit rating for 3 months, I don't think is good policy for us.
Any other question? Cynthia.
Yes, thank you. Council definitely is capable of deciding which length they would like to have. The Premier is correct. This will impact people's credit. It is 3 months is a pretty standard length of time. And what will happen is with like any other organization trying to collect money from somebody, I don't want to say business because that's not what we are. They will receive their initial invoice for payment in 30 days, a second invoice, a third invoice on 3 months, or whatever date council chooses to indicate the collections agency would be contacting them. So there will be steps in regards to how we collect. But I think, as we discussed at the last meeting around this, is that we can't be in a situation where we're letting these go for years. So if council chooses a date, we will be working really hard to make sure that those dates are met, because then we end up in a situation where we're forgiving $500,000 bad debt.
Councillor Pissinger.
Thank you. So yes, so this is going to go to the bylaw committee to develop a bylaw for this. Is that correct? So they'll bring a date and that back to us.
SAO.
That's my understanding.
So the bylaw that we would bring, the draft research information to the bylaw review committee will have a draft bylaw, but we'll also have examples of what typical collection dates are when organizations typically send something to collections, what's sort of the standard. And so the executive assistant is currently starting to do that research while I'm away, and we're hoping to be able to bring that as well as a policy to council, because that bylaw may also include things like, can we put arrears for accounts receivable on people's taxes? Can we require them to pay before they receive a service? Or if it's a business that is invoicing us and they have outstanding accounts with us, can we then can we hold back what they owe to us on their payments? So those sorts of things are all part of the grander picture. But if council sets a date now, that would be the date that would be included in the bylaw.
Okay, any other questions? Mayor.
I think we should take into consideration some of the things that are around a household's finances right now. Price of gas has skyrocketed. There seems to be no relief in sight. Food prices in the store have skyrocketed. I'm not saying that we're going to forgive people's debt, but I think that we should at least give people a chance to try to get their finances in order. Not everybody has the luxury of a government job. Not everybody has the luxury of a good pension. There's people out there that are struggling to make ends meet. And I think we got to look at it in a way that, are we going to go out there and just all of a sudden start doing things? I think 6 months would be something that is decent and would be acceptable by the community.
Any other questions? Councillor Campbell?
If I understand it right, is this motion now gonna make all these people that, I don't even know half of them on here, and they've been here for a long time then, all their accounts cleared right, wiped clean?
The ones that are 7 years and older. It's just 7 years and older. Anything newer than 7 years will be sent to collections.
Deputy Mayor?
I think we shouldn't cloud the issue. We're dealing with the 3 month and 6 month. The other two, the first item 1 and item 3, doesn't really reflect that right now. We should concentrate on whether we're going to give people 3 months or we want 6 months. And that's what we got to look at and not cloud the issue. Thank you.
Cynthia?
Thank you. So at the last meeting, council requested, based on that motion, we prepared a bylaw for debt forgiveness for people who have debt that is uncollectible. So over 7 years, it's beyond the statute of limitation. And then the other two parts of the motion that is currently on the floor are related to the timeline to send collections. And the third one just totally escaped my mind. But the bylaw could be amended to reflect whichever date timeline council chooses to use as their sending to collections date, while still ensuring that the forgiveness of those old debts gets dealt with, because that's part of our auditor's report that needs to be cleared. And then the other point I think was pretty benign as well, but it sounds like there's a question about whether or not the motion should be amended to change it to 6 months instead of 3 months to go to collections.
Councillor McDonald?
Yeah, I guess I'll make a comment and then I'll say that I'm probably not opposed to the 6 months. I guess the concern I have with extending it to 6 months is, are we just providing an opportunity to go further in debt and create a bigger liability for the people if they can essentially not pay for 6 months as opposed to a 3-month window? It just creates a bigger opportunity for them to get into deeper trouble as opposed to finding a solution in a shorter time frame. Just a comment, I would not be opposed to the 6 months.
Any other questions? Councillor Ferguson.
Thank you. So I agree with Councillor McDonald. It's really hard if we're giving out services and not collecting the payment for them, because we still have to pay those bills for water and sewer. This is, and any other thing, any other services that we're providing. And so if these folks are 3 months, then would this bylaw that you're creating then go, okay, now we're going to send it, now what if they make a $2 payment or a $3 payment? Will those clarify what constitutes in good or a payment structure? Or, well, if you're attempting to bring your account to, in the black, will that bylaw address that? And then they can still continue then now 4 months, 5 months, 6 months, but make a minimum type payment and they're still acquiring debt?
Deputy Mayor.
My main concern here is people's future. There's a lot of young people out there with households and that. We know young people sometimes mismanage their money. That's part of growing up. And I was more worried about their future and their credit rating that can be affected by this. In item 1, we're signing off thousands of dollars, and we don't have a problem with doing that. And it's not bothering us. As for somebody coming in to make a $1 or $2 payment, is that realistically even think like that?
Councillor McDonald.
As far as the signing off the debt, the statute of limitations on being able to collect that debt expires after 7 years. So the fact that we're writing it off, essentially what we're doing is taking it off of our balance sheet. Not necessarily that we have a choice to do anything else. If we want to carry the bad debt as income going forward, then all it does is make our bottom line look wrong. So that's essentially what's happening there. And I understand, Deputy Mayor Herron, your position, and I think it's a valid one. We all have concern for young people's credit, of course. But as Councillor Ferguson said, we have to run an organization here, and we have to be able to pay our staff and our bills and account for the money of the taxpayers of the town of Fort Smith. And we argue those points in other areas. And I think in this specific instance, if it has a negative impact on someone's credit, that's unfortunate. But they are adults and they have to be responsible for their decisions at the end of the day. And if they have higher priorities than paying their water, sewer, power, etc., that's not necessarily our burden to carry as a council. So that's my opinion.
Councillor Tuckey.
I kind of agree with a lot of what people are saying, but I think I'd just like to make people aware. I think most people are aware that the world right now is in a very unprecedented place. It's not just Fort Smith that's being affected, the whole country. In fact, the whole world is being affected with what's happened with Ukraine and the other things that are going on. And then with prices of fuel, heating fuel, people, a lot of average households are having a difficult time managing their finances during this difficult period. And I'm in favor of the 6 months, not in the terms of leniency, but in the terms of compassion. And I think we'd be seen as very responsible council to deal with this matter with some compassion and understanding what is going around us. It's not in our control. We have no control over everything. All the costs are going up. Families are suffering. And as far as I'm concerned, I have no dealings with collection agencies, but they aren't bullies. These are people that will go out and get the money. They will make the deals with the people. They will come up with payment plans, and that's what they're paid to do. And they will show the same kind of compassion that we're demonstrating here. And the truth of the matter is it's not going to be a lot of the teenagers that are going to be suffering. It's their parents and the people who are working hard to try and put food on the table. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. So any other concerns? I see none. Can we take a vote? But before we go to the vote, you know, with the 6 months, okay, if we're going there, then we're also going to have to change that policy, right, to 6 months. So in doing so, you could also up that bar on if there's a payment plan coming. So you don't have to deal with the $5 or $10. Council can set that to a decent amount, you know. So I just wanted to say that. So, well, there's a payment plan. Okay, well, if someone's coming in and they're putting a payment down on their whatever they own, right? And you know, so it stops someone from putting $5 down to buy time. So council could put a decent amount in there where they're going to pay every month or every 2 weeks or whatever that's going to be until they pay it off. So that way it'll take away the $5, $2 or whatever we're talking about there. That's all I'm saying. The council has that right to do that. You first stand? Totally lost you. Okay, Councilor, I'm here first. McDonald.
Okay, yeah, so I guess what the mayor is trying to get across is this would be developed as part of the policy in how, so we don't have that policy yet, so we would create that policy as part of the bylaw. I think what we're talking about right now is the 6 months, if we're in agreement of doing that. And then once that's 6 months is agreed to, if that's what we agreed to do, then we will develop a policy around how any agreements as far as paying arrears or whatever would be structured as part of the bigger bylaw that would have to be developed. So I think that's essentially the process that we would follow to do that. And that would come to the bylaw committee for development once we've had research and et cetera brought to the table.
Deputy Mayor.
Yeah, I agree with that. But I think what we should also look at too is to address Councillor Ferguson's concerns that, as the mayor said, we put a minimum amount that a person can walk in and pay on that outstanding debt. I think that's something that we should explore. 25, 50, or something that we have to look at it, how it would reflect on the outstanding debt to bring it up to that. And I think that would really address Councillor Ferguson's concerns around the coming in with a excessively low amount of money.
Councillor McDonald.
Yeah, agreed, Deputy Mayor. I think that would be brought forward to council in the policy for review. However, that would be structured once we've had the opportunity to do the research to see how other jurisdictions do it and bring forward what we think is the most reasonable approach to be as fair as possible to give everyone an opportunity to pay at a reasonable rate, I think.
Okay, SAO.
Oh, thank you. I just, I think if council wants to move forward, the motion just needs to be modified, rather than voting on the current motion. You would just want to modify the point to be 6 months versus 3 months. So, sorry, I don't remember who made the motion.
Okay, I'll modify it to in errors over 6 months.
I'll second that.
Okay, question? I see none. All in favor? All in favor, pass unanimously.
I'll move that the committee service standing committee minutes from July 12th, 2022 be adopted as presented.
I'll second that.
Question? Seeing none. All in favor? All in favor, pass unanimous.
I move that the Municipal Services Standing Committee minutes from July 12th, 2022 be adopted as presented.
I'll second.
Question? See none, all in favor? All in favor, pass unanimously.
I move that the tender for the supply and install control panel at Primrose Lift Station be awarded to Aurora Technical Services in the amount of $143,750.
I'll second that.
Question? Deputy Mayor.
This is the type of project that I've been bringing up over and over. We're going to have a control panel installed in one of our lift stations, something that is really important to our infrastructure in town, basically our water and sewer systems. And we have to get qualified people to represent the town on this stuff so that everything is done the way it's supposed to be. And we have to engage and find the people that are out there that can go to these jobs and make sure that they're done up to the codes of the day. It's going to be electrical, so there's certain codes that have to be standard. We want to make sure everything in there is done properly. And again, I have to say it, I keep repeating it over and over. We have to get fully qualified people with the appropriate experience to go in there and represent the town of Fort Smith to ensure that the taxpayers' dollars are well spent.
Any questions? See none, all in favor?
Abstain, yep.
Okay, one abstention.
I'll move.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, I'll move that the tender for the demolition of the old water treatment building and metal storage shed be awarded to Rain Trucking Limited in the amount of $81,795. That the funds for this project be allocated from the Canada Community Building Fund.
I'll second.
Any questions? Councillor Campbell.
Okay, I had somebody bring this up to me. On this demolition of the old steel building, before we give this all out, we should look at refurbishing that building. It's a steel building with proper I-beams and everything in there. Could be taken apart and reset up somewhere else for good use. I just want to know if we thought of that or went through any of that process. Thanks.
Councillor McDonald.
So I guess my question around that would be, what would be essentially the liability, the challenges? Would it need to be re-engineered to meet the current code? As soon as you take it apart, there's a lot of different items that come into play when you attempt to restore an older building, especially if you're going to completely disassemble it and move it. I don't know the answer. I'm just asking the question.
Councillor Ferguson.
Yes, those were actually kind of what I was going to ask too. Even though the structure might be steel beams and steel walls, how do we know if once we take it apart, it's still going to function the same when we put it back together?
Same way we put a wooden building up. The carpenters approve it. We don't have no building inspector or anything to do it here. If we bring in a metal guy that does structural, let them do the same thing. People say it's still good. It hasn't been in the weather or anything. We should be looking at saving that building and reuse it. Not just throw everything to the landfill. Thanks.
Councillor Messenger.
Okay, so then in that term, so we're not actually going to demolish, we're going to move. So then we'll have to put this tender out again to get a new contract because we've changed that.
Councillor Crowe.
Is there somebody that can actually certify if the building is still good?
Councillor Campbell.
There's engineers all over the world that could certify buildings.
Councillor Ferguson.
Thank you. Why did we schedule this and put it to tender to be torn down if it was still salvageable? Wouldn't that have been identified then?
Cynthia.
Sorry, I'm pressing buttons all over the place. We scheduled it for demo because cost benefit analysis, the cost of taking it down and moving it, knowing that again, it may not be structurally sound, and the amount of damage that's already occurred to the building because of vandals, we did not feel that it was of value to continue to keep this building. It is going to take a fair amount of work to refurbish it. So as a cost benefit analysis, it was determined that we would take it down. Our Director of Municipal Services does not feel if it's any value to the town of Fort Smith at this point.
Councillor Campbell.
Well, then we should be putting it out to sell to the private sector or somebody in Fort Smith that could reuse that building. Because the people that asked me about it in the last couple of days think it's a very, very valuable piece of infrastructure that they could use. If we don't want to use it, they don't want to see it go into the landfill. And here we are filling up our landfill and everything. They say we're not even using a perfectly good building with a bit of graffiti on the outside. Thanks.
Cynthia.
Yes, that's an option. My caution with that would be that you cannot control who buys the building. It has to go to public auction. So be aware that you will have no control over which property it will end up on. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Any other questions? Councillor Tucky.
Well, I think it's kind of unfortunate that we never thought of this before, because I kind of agree with Councillor Campbell. Metal buildings can be moved, but they can be costly because my experience that once you take something off a cement pad, it has to go back onto a cement pad. So I don't know if the cost analysis would be worth it or not, but I think it's something that we should look at doing. I see we have a tender here for 2 cold storage buildings, and maybe that was something that needs to be revisited as well. And maybe a cost analysis on both these projects should be looked at. That's just my thought right now.
Councillor Ferguson.
What is the size of this metal building? What's the dimensions that we're tearing down?
Cynthia, would you have the size on that building?
Sorry, no, I don't have it offhand. It's no, I'm sorry. I'd have to check.
So, Councillor Campbell.
I thought we were going to build these 2 new cold storage buildings to the side of those buildings over there that they're using for storage now. That's why some contractors in town asked me about the use of that, why we're demoing the building. Okay.
Okay, so what does council want to do here? Just leave it as is, or?
I would like to see us review this and see what, review this one and see what the cost of it to be, or else put it out for sale.
Okay, SAO.
I think that council can approve the demolition of the single building, which definitely needs to come down. If I can do some more investigation around the other building, but With the cold storage buildings, we were not putting a concrete pad down. This building, I believe, will require a concrete pad, concrete being probably the most expensive proportionally part of the build right now, according to our concrete guy. So that's what I've heard reported by the contractors at this point. So we can certainly look further at this, but if council would like to just have this contractor break out what the demo of the one building will be, we can certainly proceed that way.
Councillor Campbell.
No, you don't need a whole pad for this building. You just need, we're putting a the base around the foundation. The same thing as a steel building could be done too. We don't need a full pad. And I don't like the idea of let him tell us what he's going to do for a building, because it will be, I don't know, it's going to cost us a lot more to tear down one building than two, but I think we got to make sure we're getting the best bang for our buck.
Deputy Mayor.
Between the next bid on this job, I believe it was around $50,000 from a local company. Has any thought been given that the contractor that is successful on this tender is going to take that building apart and haul it away? He's removing it from the site.
Okay, go to the SAO here first.
Thank you. In the tender document, it is specified that all materials must be transferred to the landfill, cannot be stored or taken to any other site. It is a legal contract, so if he were to breach that contract, we would be able to proceed legally against him. So it is covered in the tender.
Councillor McDonald.
So I guess the one thing that we want to be careful here is if we decide to do it this way and we look into that building and it still requires demolition, then we're obligated, like we've tendered this, unless we're changing the scope of the tender package, we can't just put it off and put it back out, because that's price shopping, right? That's unfair to the contractors that have bid up front. So if you want to cancel it and say now it's something different, then that's fine, but you can't just cancel it and then put it back out exactly the same project again. That's
Okay, Councillor Pissinger.
Yes, is this a building that we received a nice unsightly order from? So we've received that and then we're going to give it to someone else? What are they going to do with it? Put it where? Still in the same thing? Are they going to paint it and stuff?
Councillor Campbell.
We're not worried. Let's reuse that building. We're not worried what they go on-sitely. The person that gets the new building does the on-sitely cleanup and everything. Once it's out of our hands, we're not worried about who cleans it. If we have to give them another on-sitely, we'll give it to them. But right now, it's a reusable building and it's a valuable building, and we just want to demolish it. And a contractor in town come up to me and asked me how come we're demolishing it. And that's what brought this on. It makes perfectly sense. It's a good metal building. They're moved all the time to different locations and everything. It's easier to move than wood building.
Councillor Crow, or Councillor Ferguson.
Thank you. So do we have space for this metal building in our yard? In one of our yards?
That's what I'm saying. This metal building could be taking place at one of the new cold storage buildings. We could see if the contractor could move that building to one of the locations for the new ones. We got the building, we got the foundation, we got the structure, we got everything. Might have to buy some trim and some pieces of tin here and there, but we got this building that should be reused. Thanks.
Okay, so what does council want to do here?
well, we can vote on the motion. If it passes, it passes.
Okay. Okay, what was that motion? You want to reread that motion?
But this is going to include both of them if we could keep this. That's what I'm saying. This is going to, we got to, yeah.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead.
Point of order, Councillor McDonald is correct. You have to either pass or defeat this motion before you do anything else. If the motion is defeated, then a different motion based on Councillor Campbell's information about the value of the building could be made. But the motion that's on the floor has to be voted upon before anything else happens.
Okay, so what was that motion again?
That the tender for the demolition of the old water treatment building and metal storage building, storage shed be awarded to Rain Trucking for the amount of $81,795. That the funds for this project come from the Canada Community Building Fund.
Okay, we have a mover and a seconder.
We already have it.
We
Okay,
just need
yeah, okay, vote. Okay, Councillor Deputy Mayor.
I think this coming in front of us at such short notice, when all of the work has been done to award the contract, give it to a successful tender out there and have it done. I understand this person's from out of town who has to make arrangements to come here. And that my understanding with this going forward is that we have two old buildings that need to be demolished. They were there. We're now in a bind. We're going to vote on something that could potentially be reused and going out there. SAO, I'm going to ask for your input on this one. And if we were to hold this off for 2 weeks or something and explore the options of that building being removed or entering into an agreement with somebody to look after that, and is it possible that we may hold the contractor from coming and doing his demolition for 2 weeks while we address this issue that came up on a very short notice and with no advance warning or anything?
SAO.
So this this could be held. You could table this to the next municipal services meeting for review again, this tender. But as Councillor McDonald stated, unless the scope of the tender is going to change, we definitely cannot put it out again. It would have to be within the same scope. We could remove a building, but the demo of that building, the one building, would have to still continue to go to this bidder, and we'd have to ask him to suss out the difference between the two for you, to break it down. But it would definitely have to stay with this successful proponent. But yes, this could be tabled. We could do some more investigation. We, again, if somebody's going to move it, we would definitely want to make sure that it's being moved to our property, because as it's been stated, this would have to go to a public sale, and you can't control who the successful bidder is in a public sale. So it is an unsightly property. It will still be an unsightly property no matter where it ends up. We just have to be cautious about it not ending up somewhere even more unsightly.
Councillor Campbell.
It is not going to be an unsightly once it's moved. They're going to paint it or do something with it. Put new tin. That's what I'm saying. Here, you're putting the cart before the horse and saying it's going to be unsightly. We do not know that yet.
Okay, so let's have a vote here.
I move that we table this till next municipal. Well, no, we have to table, if we table it, we go on a motion.
Point of order, Councillor Campbell is correct. You can table a motion without a vote, and it would go to the next municipal services.
I move we table this till next municipal services meeting.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor? Okay, one exception? Abstain? Opposed?
I move that the tender for the construction of 2 cold storage buildings be awarded to Blades Construction in the amount of $95,000.
I second it.
Question. Councilor Ferguson.
Well, having just delayed this previous one, I also then would move or suggest that we table this to our next municipal meeting as well, because we might be already getting a cold storage building.
I'll second that.
SAO.
Thank you. My concern would be how the contractor prioritizes the work based on the time in which he receives the contract, thus resulting us in not getting the buildings that we require before the end of the construction season. Everybody's contractor-wise is very busy at this point, so that would be my biggest concern. Secondary, I would say, if we're gonna recover this other building, it might just be that it's a surplus third cold storage building, which we probably will be able to find time for.
Yeah.
Thank you. Do we have space for this potential third building if we're already building these 2 buildings on our storage bill and like as storage on where this is going?
SAO.
Yeah, so we had planned for 1 storage building at the 7 Bay Yard, 1 storage building at the tower, the water tower. I think there's potential for there to be space for the 3rd building at the actual water treatment plant. But again, I would have to clarify that with the director. However, thinking about what's the space that's available there, I think it's a relatively doable situation. In reality, we could probably fit it in the 7 Bay Yard as well.
Councilor Campbell.
Well, I don't think we should be throwing around 42,500 for just extra storage space. I think we should table this one, like there's a motion out there, and for 2 weeks and see what happens with the old water treatment, the old building at the water treatment plant, because it's a lot of money to be just tossing around, saving here and there, and bang, bang. Let's just build another building because we have extra money here. I think this should tie in with the other one. Thanks.
Councilor Ferguson.
Thank you. I actually changed what I'm saying, my position on that. I think we shouldn't table this. I think we'll have the space for it if we have, like she'd said, the 7 Bay water tower and water treatment plant. And this contractor is probably really busy. He's probably already made plans and is trying to coordinate how to get his materials in so we can have this done before we want to. And I don't think we should table this till the next municipal service meeting.
Yes, the only problem I have with that is these 2 cold storage room has to happen before that building comes down. Reason for is there's a bunch of paper in that building which has to go into some of those storage things. If we delay this, you're delaying it for 2 weeks, and he's not going to make his order. And the seasoning is coming right on the bend till fall time. So that's all I just want to bring to your question. Councilor Bissinger.
So I think the delay will actually be a month, wouldn't it, for our next town meeting to pass these again? So it's not 2 weeks, it's a month. Thank you.
Deputy Mayor.
I think it's been identified that these cold storage buildings that are going to be on the tender right now, space has been already allocated for them. And there's potential for a 3rd space for the metal building if we decide to proceed with that for the town or to put it out to the public is 2 things. And I think we should go ahead with our 2 cold storage buildings, let them get built, and then worry about the 3rd one when it comes up.
Okay, we have a vote on there. We have a question. All in favor? All in favor, 1 abstention? Okay, one opposed? Okay, Fran,
I'll move that the tender for installed downtown sidewalks be awarded to Blades Construction in the amount of $69,999.
I'll second that.
question? I see none. All in favor? All in favor, pass unanimously.
I'll move that the council explore opportunities for local contractors to take on municipal services outside of our municipal boundaries.
I'll second that.
Question? I see none. All in favor? Okay.
I'll move that whereas the council of the municipal corporation of the town of Fort Smith in the Northwest Territories is satisfied that certain debts owed to the town of Fort Smith are not collectible or should be forgiven for other reasons. Now, therefore, the council of town of Fort Smith at a duly assembled meeting enacts as follows. All those debts owed to the town of Fort Smith itemized in Schedule A attached to and forming part of this bylaw are forgiven.
I'll second.
Any questions? Councillor Campbell?
What is forgiven for other reasons? Who makes that choice?
SAO.
Sorry, that is the standard wording of this type of bylaw, based on the Cities, Towns and Villages Act.
Okay, thanks. Questions? All in favor? All in favor, pass unanimously.
I move that bylaw 1036, forgiveness of accounts receivable debt bylaw, be given a second reading by title only.
I'll second that.
Question? All in favor, pass unanimously. Appointments. Okay, I don't see any appointments. Mayor and council, board represent updates.
I have nothing to report. Thanks.
I would just like to send condolences to the Mercury and Jewel families on the loss of their family members. And just a note that Harry Studham's memorial is this Saturday at 2 at Roaring Rapids Hall. And a thank you to the staff and volunteers for the Canada Day work. And a shout out to the new people running Queen Elizabeth Park, Jolene and Randall from Timber Fallen, for all the different engagements that they've been doing with the community. It's great to see that. Congratulations to the new chief and council for the Smith's Landing. And I'd like to thank the mayor, council, and min for work done to ensure traveling members are able to join in, like myself, for the past 6 weeks. So that was great. And Guest Parks Pine Lake Picnic was a success, and just wish a safe summer to everybody else.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank the town staff for a really great job for Canada Day. We did the food really fast. I think it was the shortest line I've ever participated in, and it was really well done. And for all the work at the daycare as well, that had made a break even month last month, or just in general. We're 6 months, we're break even, and so that's really great to hear. And I like that I've seen a lot of parks and kids playing in them with the new toys. I thought that was really great. Because my daughter, who hasn't played in a park in a long time, is now playing in the park again. So with all the new toys, it's pretty engaging for them. And yeah, then I've noticed a couple potholes filled, so that's pretty awesome. Thanks.
Yeah, I see them working on the road. It looks great. I'd also like to thank Smith Landing on their treaty days. It was well attended and they did a good job. And also when Salt River had theirs on the 21st of June, they did a good job too. Great job, and thanks to all those guys working, and thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Well, mostly everything I was going to say has already been covered. So I just wanted to thank Mike Brown at Cab Construction. They gave us a tour of the rec center renovation last week, which looks absolutely fabulous. The facility is going to be like a new facility when it gets open in September, and some great work being done there. And I think it looked, far beyond my expectations. So I was very impressed. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. I too would also like to thank the town staff for the Canada Day celebrations, and also thank Richard and Barb Mercady for the excellent job they did cooking the fish. Thank you so much. And also congratulations to the new chief and staff, chief and council of the Smith Landing First Nation, and also my condolences also to the Mercady and the Jewell family. Thank you.
Thank you. I would also like to thank Councillor Pishner's husband, who was there with Richard and Barb cooking fish. Councillor Bolio was helping him. They were doing an excellent job. And it's nice to see members of the community out interacting with each other, enjoying the days. And I hope we have a couple more like this before fall, where people can come together before we hit the cold winter.
Yes, I'd like to thank everyone who helped out at Canada Day. Richard, Barb Mercady, Junior Pissinger, and along with all of our staff, we've done a wonderful 1st July for my first term. Next year, we'll try to make it a little bigger. And I sent out condolences to the Jewell and Mercady family. And with that, the road south, that road's going, that's taking a little bit of slowness. I'll keep pounding on the roads on that one, and hopefully we get to some point. With summer being here, everyone traveling, our leadership also hasn't been really getting going, but everyone's traveling, so we'll probably come back in the fall. And as they're gone, I just keep continuing working on things with council and with the SAO. So trying to get everything done by fall time here. And yeah, I'm pushing again, but fall's coming and we need it done. So hope the contractors are not too mad at me for pushing, but that's business. Yeah. So from that, yeah, that's about all I have to report on. So thanks. Administration.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I also am proud of how the staff brought together our first Canada Day, real Canada Day since the pandemic started. It was nice to have 2 fantastic events that I got to attend, which was the Salt River event and the Canada Day event. And unfortunately, it wasn't available for the Smith Landing event. But thank you to our staff for pulling all that together and doing a fantastic job. We have a few items remaining. One is the tax auction recommendation or motion, I should say, which is on, I believe it should be on your desks. We did not put it in the package because it is not public information until it is read by council. The properties coming up for auction on the tax auction, as previously said in the earlier motion, are those who are in arrears as of the end of 2020. And these properties are identified by roll number the assessment roll is available in the front foyer of Town Hall for anyone who would like to look at this, but it is not identified as the owner, but rather the roll number. So I believe council needs to make a motion in regards to that item.
I'll move, I have to read the whole motion out? Okay.
Oh, you do, yes.
Property tax auction 22-141. I move that properties in tax arrears being brought to the property tax auction be offered at 50% and 75% of assessed value for returning properties and 100% of assessed value for properties new to the list. That the tax sale auction date be set for October 27th, 2022, and that the minimum tax sale auction prices are as follows. For roll 4200, the minimum tax sale price is $109,300. For roll number 18700, the minimum tax sale price is $213,400. For roll 31500, the minimum tax sale price is $92,100. For roll 59800, the minimum tax price is $128,600. For the roll 67600, the minimum tax sale price is $11,300. For the roll 67800, the minimum tax sale price is $90,000. For the roll 69300, the minimum tax sale price is $77,800. For roll 69400, the minimum tax sale price is $102,900. For the roll 75000, the minimum tax sale price is $82,800. For the roll 79300, the minimum tax sale price is $35,100. For the roll 79400, the minimum sale tax price is $82,200. For the roll 81200, the minimum tax sale price is $86,200. For the roll 97700, the minimum tax sale price is $112,100. For the roll 101700, the minimum tax sale price is $29,250. For the roll 110800, the minimum tax sale price is $78,100. And for the roll 142450, the minimum tax sale price is $147,525. And for the roll 5159,600, the minimum tax sale price is $637,050.
I'll second that.
Any questions? See no questions. All in favor? Okay, all in favor, passed unanimously. Water meter deposits.
Sorry, thank you. I was just scrolling down to this item. And thank you to Councillor Ferguson for last week reminding me to bring this forward. So council had requested some information about water meter deposits and how we might possibly do them differently rather than holding someone's deposit until they close their account. So we've done some research on what other jurisdictions and utilities do. It's challenging for us to know at this point how many meters might get damaged, purposefully damaged in any given year based on the fact that we just have so many meters that are not currently working. So once we have all those meters at an operable state, we'll have a better idea about how many deposits we actually use. So currently, new account holders pay a connection fee of $53.35 as per the rates and fees bylaw, and a meter deposit at fair market value, which is currently $538.40. We do not use the deposit to offset any overdue water service accounts. It is held until the account is closed and then reimbursed to the account holder. Research has been done, and we have identified that the other sort of 4 larger communities in the territory that have underground services, Fort Simpson, you can see there's no connection fee. There's a $300 deposit, and that is refunded when the final bill is paid or the account is closed. Hay River has a $42 connection fee and a $250 deposit. That is refunded when the final bill is paid or the account is closed. Norman Wells collects a $30 connection fee and a $100 deposit, again paid at the end of the account. Yellowknife collects neither a residential connection fee or deposit. However, they do have a bigger tax base, so that might be the reason for that. The other utility in the territory, the Power Corp, has a residential connection fee of $21 and a deposit of $300. And again, that is refunded once the final bill is paid or when a good credit standing letter is submitted from a previous power company. So somebody moves to the territory, they bring a letter of good standing, and then it would be reimbursed or applied to their account. Other jurisdictions in Northern Alberta and Northern BC were also reviewed, but this is really all over the place about how different municipalities and different utilities or phone services apply deposits. So it's really, I mean, this is a kind of open discussion for council. I've provided 4 possible scenarios. Of course, these are not exhaustive, so we can continue with the current practice. We can continue to require a water meter deposit that is reimbursed after a designated period on accounts in good standing or apply to an account balance. So council would have to identify what it means to be an account in good standing. We could offset the water meter replacement cost with a change to the water consumption rates, or no deposit to open the account, rather require account holder to pay for replacement of a damaged meter prior to installation, including labor and administration costs at market value. So that last one would be, we don't take a deposit. However, if you damage the water meter beyond repair or even in any way, then you would be required to either pay for the costs of replacement or repair of that meter, including administrative costs, again, at a fair market value. So those are just 4 options. They're not the only options. Council can certainly brainstorm those. But we're just seeking your consideration direction, as this was brought up by council as in response to a letter from a community member.
Okay, thanks. Councillor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I think this is definitely an item that we've discussed already and we should continue to discuss. Is it more appropriate to discuss it at municipal services as opposed to during the council meeting, or do we want to have that discussion now? I guess is my first question. I don't think we're going to resolve it tonight, so that's why I'm suggesting perhaps we move it to.
Can we table this to our next municipality? It's only going to be 1 month and it's going to be,
It's
there's
going to
going to be
require
some good discussions.
Yeah.
But the next,
That's,
I move that we table it to our next municipality.
I'll second.
Yeah, before we table it, it just in some cases, there's seniors that have this and their bill's been sitting here for like 6 years, right? And they're not making interest. We're not making interest. Like, why are we doing that? Like we're going through all these bylaws that have to be changed that haven't been changed for the last 30 years in some cases. And maybe this is one of them that we have to readdress totally, for our citizens. I don't really want to go through our time living off old bills like that. I want us to deal with them, change them for the next previous mayors and council, make their lives a heck of a lot easier and make our citizens' lives a lot easier. Some of them, they contradict one another. They don't make sense. So, that's what I'm proposing anyway. So, all in favor? Pulling this table till next month. Thanks.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, SEO.
I would certainly appreciate if anybody has questions on this one, that we might be able to get some answers for prior to municipal. If you would contact myself or Emily. So if you just want, if there's a piece of information you think you want more to know more about, we can get that information to you before municipal services or at municipal services to help flesh out the conversation.
Sure, thanks. Okay, the things that we added, which one was first? I don't have it on mine.
The fence at the cemetery.
Fence at the cemetery. Councillor Campbell.
Did you want to conflict or do you want to just, okay, all
Oh,
my
yeah,
question
yeah,
is.
yeah,
I'm just
I'm
saying-
gonna do.
No, right now, I don't think it's conflict. My question, and I've been asked 3 times this evening here, is why are we going wood when I thought we were replacing it, it was going to be the similar type of chain link fence that we had around there, straighten it out and everything, but we're going drastically changed to a wooden fence that is 5, I didn't get out there and measure it. I drove by it before the meeting, 5 feet or 6 feet high. Do we have to keep them in that well or what, or not let them see daylight? I don't know, but we got it. Where did the decision, that's my question. Where did the decision come to put a wooden fence there on that tender? Thanks.
SAO.
This decision was made through a community consultation, through a development plan that's been in place for the last several years, I think 4 or 5 years. So there was community consultation and engagement in the development of the downtown development plan, which is a document that I think you all have. This particular design, it's actually a 3-foot post and rail fence, was previously put out to tender 2 years ago, and the work wasn't completed. So the tender, essentially the same tender, was put out again to try and get somebody to complete the work. So again, this was a design that went through a community consultation process. And so in order to ensure that we continue to work forward on plans, when we have something that's been voted in by council, that's what we work our plans off of.
Okay, any more questions?
Okay, that's good to know, but now it's not, okay, I see the 6-foot fence pole. It's probably gonna come down 2 feet off that. It makes it much more attractive, but it just, when I seen that 6 foot, I thought it was gonna be a big 6 foot, can't see in or can't see out and no daylight on either side. But our community consultation, that was 5 years ago, I think, eh? And the community has changed drastically since then. And we've been using this consultation community one for so long. Maybe we should look at upgrading it or seeing what the community in Fort Smith wants. Thanks.
Any more questions? SAO.
We're, always happy to go and have documents reviewed and potentially updated. However, each of those has a cost. Right now, to get a consultative process done with any kind of planning document is going to cost us between $50,000 and $75,000. Is the going rate that we're being told. And if we were to do each project independently for a community consultation, the time would be we just don't have the resources to do that internally. It would take months and that would slow down any of our capital planning quite significantly. So that's why when we have a standing document that has already received community consultation, that's generally what we work off of, because it's already been approved by council through a community and gone through a community consultation process. The theme of the fence is meant to mimic that along the landslide road.
Councillor Ferguson. Not bad.
Thank you. Maybe if we could just get a do we have a picture or a design build for what it's going to look like, just so we can answer folks' questions when they ask us? So if we are approached with, hey, what's going on with the 6-foot fence? We'll say, oh, no, it's this 3-foot, whatever. We can give those answers.
Deputy Mayor.
The community consultation and the person that designed this fence, that is about 5 years old. And was the person who came up with this plan, was that a community member, or could you explain to us a little bit this process? Because this fence is kind of a surprise to a lot of us in this room. I know the tender was put out on May 31st, I believe was the date that it was first publicly out there. But in most projects that you're going to do something and it's for the community, they do what is called an artist rendition. The artist rendition shows you what it would look like. It would have the crosses of the graveyard in the background, and it would give it. And that's not going to cost $75,000 to have a artist rendition done on something that would give the community a sense of comfort. That graveyard means a lot to the people of Fort Smith. It's a very important place. It goes back to, I think, around 1898 or something when the first person was put in there. It was put in there a long time ago. And we have to start engaging the community. There's some kind of lack of communication here somewhere where all of a sudden this stuff is just dumped on us, and we are the ones that are out there. The public is coming to question us right away. What's going on? What's happening? An artist rendition, which is fairly common on any project, could alleviate a lot of these problems.
Any more questions?
So is there a drawing? Like, is there an artist drawing?
Cynthia, is there a drawing from when whoever designed this fence that we could see and put on, I hate Facebook, but put a little plaque up there showing what it's going to look like after? Because with this 6-foot high post and everything sticking out of the ground, that's what everybody's questioning. Just show if we would have some slopes and different things on it. That's what I'd like to see now.
Sure, I can get that out. There were drawings as part of the engagement process, and it is in the downtown development plan, which I believe was on your memory sticks. But if you haven't got it or haven't seen it, there are some copies in my office. A couple of copies in my office. There are a large document with lots of photos or pictures, lots of artist renderings. In fact, they're not all exactly as they are going to go. Like the Conner Bear Park rendering doesn't look like what we've got designed now, but it was part of the consultative process. So we can certainly get that up there. It is a, yeah, I saw the 6-foot posts too, and I was like, and I asked the supervisor of facility maintenance who's managing that project, and he confirmed for me they were getting cut down.
Okay. Anything else on this one? Nothing? Okay, Deputy Mayor.
We continue to have a lot of projects in this town. We're going to have buildings built. We're got water and sewer issues on the go right now. We still have our rec complex, which is still part of our town infrastructure. One of the things that we got to agree on here is that we have to come up with a plan of how these projects are going to be inspected. Who is qualified to go and inspect these projects? You have to have experience to go in there and make good sound judgment in all these projects. Experience doesn't come with a piece of paper. Experience comes with years and years of experience going out and working with other people, learning, making mistakes, but always moving forward in a positive way. We are spending a large amount of money right now, and we don't seem to have anybody doing a very good job with quality control on our behalf. If you want to take, for example, the sewer that is being dug up by the old theater right now, there's talk about, warranty issues on that one. Well, with that issue, if we also talked about that the engineer and contractor couldn't get along. Those are all types of flags out there that would alleviate a lot of these problems if we took leadership and had good, strong people representing the town of Fort Smith with the adequate experience that they need to go in there and make solid judgments on these things and know that if there's any problems, they bring it back to the town and we get them resolved in a timely manner. If we don't come up with a solid plan of how we're going to continue to, or how we're going to develop a quality control program that works for every project that we go on, because it is the taxpayers' money, we have to come up with a plan that is going to make sure that we have adequate representation when we are delivering a project. At the end of the day, it's all taxpayers' money and we're accountable for it. And we have to take that responsibility and we have to give solid direction that we want the people representing us to have the adequate experience to make those calls. And if there's problems, bring them back and we resolve them.
Councillor McDonald.
Okay, I have a couple of comments and then, so I think if this is the direction that the council feels we need to go, there are many questions that need to be answered. And so there's what level of oversight, what is the cost? This is not a budgeted item. We're talking about multiple disciplines, so we're not going to have a catch-all. One person is the subject matter expert in everything. This is a huge project and it's probably a policy piece more than a discussion item, where we need to come up with a policy of how, when, what is requires level of oversight, is specific types of projects as opposed to all projects, or is it in certain circumstances our staff are very qualified in a lot of areas, but there's always specialty items that don't fall within the realm of our expertise necessarily within our own organization. And should we ensure that in those instances we have a third party outside through contract or whatever the case may be to provide oversight? Again, I think this is an item for municipal services discussion, not necessarily a council meeting. And I move that we table this to the next municipal services committee meeting.
Deputy Mayor.
I do agree with Councillor McDonald that there are different experts out there that fall into different categories. But the thing is, right now, we don't have that policy in place and we have to have something. We can't let this one slide. We're spending too much money without any oversight on these things. Again, I'll go back to the example of the warranty at the theater. Those are things that should not have reached that stage. That should have been adequately inspected by a qualified person. And I agree, we do have to come up with a policy, but we can't let this one slide. There's too much money out there right now being spent, and that we have building codes out there, but we also have building inspectors. We have electric codes out there, but we also have electrical inspectors. And each one of those has the codes that they're supposed to follow, but if they don't, then we're the ones that are picking up whatever the problems are left behind. And I think this is a very important issue that we can't put off. We're tendering out millions of dollars of the taxpayers' money, and the taxpayer deserves to have somebody out there ensuring that those dollars are going to deliver a product that's going to last for years.
Any other questions? If not, could we have a seconder? There's a motion on the floor.
Is there a motion on the floor?
Yes, to bring this to municipality service.
I'll second that to bring it to municipal services.
Okay, question? I see no questions. All in favor? Okay, passed unanimously. There was another item Hey, no, no, this is a,
Yeah. Okay, I'm just reading the SAO's notes when she's going on holidays. Hope she enjoys a well-earned holiday. And in there, it says awarded by SAO within spending authority. It's in there 2 times. I think one of the things that we should request is anytime there's a tender out there and there's any additional costs added to that tender for whatever reason, that council should be informed of it. If we don't know about this and there's additional costs requested by the successful bidder, it's not fair to the other businesses who were unsuccessfully bid on it. So I think this is something that we should add as an item, that it should be reported to the council every time there's a cost overrun on a tender, and why and who authorized it, because it has to be fair to everybody out there.
okay. Any questions? McDonald?
So I guess I have 2 points. One being that we, as a council, have given the SAO a spending limit authority and the discretion to make those decisions within that limit. So off the top of my head, I can't tell you what the limit is, 75,000, 70,000, whatever it is. To have the expectation that every change order or amendment to a contract has to come back to us, I don't think is practical. If there is a change in scope, again, that changes the scope of the project. That's something that should be given high consideration before there's a scope change, because that, I would agree with Deputy Mayor Herron, can have a direct impact on the original bid. If there's change orders for unforeseen circumstances that may arise, I don't know that that necessarily facilitates an unfairness to the original contractor, because they're bidding on the original scope of work. And there are times when you can't see the future. So that's my 2 comments.
Deputy Mayor?
At no time did I question the SAO's authority and signing authority. That's not I never brought that up. I said if there's any cost overruns on contracts and there's changes, that it should be reported back to council. I'm not asking for any restrictions on anybody. It's an information item, and we should know why and what happened there. That's all it is information. Look at the information that we don't get and the problems it causes.
And just to give the council some information, because I hear all different kinds of stories about the street in front of the theater, and there's so many different pieces of it, but us as council should be fed the information that's coming out, what's happening on it now. So when we stop at a store or stop and talk to somebody at Tim Hortons, at least we give them a good sense of direction, not just I heard and I'll say I don't know anything about it. But that's one of the things we got to be brought up. And then and a change like on Calder Avenue, when it just about doubled the price on that. I know we voted on it, but that's one thing on the original tender should have been found at the start of the job, not after. And then asking for a double increase for the price to finish it. Thanks.
Okay, where were we, vote? SAO?
Thank you. So just to clarify, when you pass the capital plan with the projects identified with the budget, if it is over my spending authority, if the contract comes in over my spending authority, it comes into council for approval. If it if it's within my spending authority and if any changes are within my spending authority and still within budget that was passed for the capital budget, I wouldn't normally bring that to council, but of course I can change how that's communicated. But generally, the accepted practice has been that if it's still within my spending authority and it's not over the budget that was been allocated, I would not have typically brought that to council. So if your budget was $20,000 and it comes in at $19,000, that's within my spending authority and within your budget. But if the change order brings it up to $30,000, that's no longer within budget, even though it's still within my spending authority and would still come to council. A change order of that changes the direction that's already been given by council.
Deputy Mayor.
Thank you for that, SEO. That's exactly what I wanted to hear.
Okay. So what are we doing with this one? I got lost here. Just discussion. Are we, any more questions? Okay. We do have one more topic I believe we have to deal with.
Point of order, Mr. Mayor. I think you did not add anything else to the agenda before it was approved.
Basically for information. Deputy Mayor.
I think we should all take a couple of minutes and read this letter. The college is very important to the future of Fort Smith. And when we have a person that is supposed to be the president of the college dictating terms to us, the people of the Fort Smith, and not only that, the people of the Northwest Territories, I think this is something that we should have take time, read this, and let's have a discussion on it, and let's lend some support to our MLA. We cannot allow people from outside of Fort Smith decide they're going to live somewhere else and start making decisions on the college. The job is here for Fort Smith. The tax base is here for Fort Smith. And for a person to demand that they get another 2 years somewhere else, I think that person should maybe look for a job where they want to stay and allow somebody else to do that. So it's a very important issue. And I think we have to sit here tonight and come up with something that is going to support our MLA. And I'm no doubt that she's going to be soliciting support from the Aboriginal leaders on this very important issue.
SAO, acting.
Sorry to interrupt. I'm just wondering if Emily could use her mic, please.
Okay, maybe we just have discussions on it off.
I must apologize because it was put on my desk and nobody told me that it was anything confidential.
Yeah, I didn't know that either. I just was told to put it on the desk. So anyway, we will deal with it. Do we want to close this or do we have to go into camera first?
No, we can't go into camera for that. We can't go into camera. I move that Councillor Bolio be excused.
I'll second that.
Okay, question, see none, all in favor? All in favor, pass unanimously.
May I just make a quick interruption?
Yes, SEO.
I just received an email from the regional superintendent of MACA, and I wanted to just share with you some exciting news. We just received infrastructure funding for $738,750 to do planned upgrades to Riverside Park and the snowboard sliding hill park.
That's awesome
And that
news.
funding, I
That's
believe,
great
goes
news.
to 2027 or 2028.
I was gonna ask you that, but I thought I'd just leave it to you to do it.
Yeah, just looked at my email, super excited.
It's not my limelight, so. That's, have money to work on that. Hey, date of the next council meeting. Corporate Services Standing Committee meeting, August the 2nd, 2022. Community and Municipal Service Standing Committee meeting, August the 9th, 2022. And council meeting, was it August 16th, 2022. August the 8th, okay.
I move that the meeting be adjourned at 8:45 PM.
I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor? All in favor, pass unanimously.